It's that time again for the assault on your ears we call Lower Dorks, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast. It's Aaron and Stavros. Well, I'm Aaron. Stavros is here too. You'll hear from him shortly. Sorry. Tonight, on our screens, is episode 4 of season 3, Room for Growth. And in our cups, we got... I don't remember. What are we drinking, Stavros?
Well, you know, this episode mentions Ransom's affinity for churros. So today we are drinking Jack Daniel's Cinnamon Spice Tennessee Fire flavored whiskey.
Oh, yeah! Tennessee Fire.
Excited. So this is actually my first time trying this particular flavor.
Burns so good.
I know. I was expecting the cinnamon, but then the first sip just kind of assaults you and just like gut punches you with cinnamon. But now that I've had a few sips, I'm just like, you know what? I'm getting really into it, and I'm kind of craving it a little bit. Now that I'm speaking, I kind of want you to start talking just so I can drink it more.
I enjoy me some cinnamon-flavored alcohol. The very well-known Fireball was my introduction to this particular style of alcohol.
Ah, yes.
The nice thing about the Tennessee Fire is it is far, far less sweet. And I think that really brings a lot to the table because of it.
Yeah, it's strong, but not sweet. It's kind of tasty and strong, yeah.
Yeah, and it's got a little bit more of a bite to it, which is just, I enjoy that. Not so much going down, but on the palate. It's even worse coming back up, buddy, so better tone it down.
You know what? We're going to try and pause before that, so. Well, should we talk about Room for Growth?
Yeah, let's do this.
That is why we're doing this, yeah. So, on board the Cerritos, Mariner, Boimler, and Tendi race their Delta Shift counterparts across the ship to secure their very own set of private quarters. They don't get it.
Spoilers, dude! I ain't watched the episode!
That's not the right way to consume this podcast.
Oh my god.
Anyway, Captain Freeman forces the Cerritos' engineering team into a vacation, but ends up getting so stressed out she gets put in a box. That's what happens, right?
I vaguely remember this happening.
I'm glad to hear it.
There were boxes. There was racing.
Yes. All of those things happened.
It was less of a race and more of a grim death march, though, so, you know. Just
it really was. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. But you know what? I was looking at something we don't really do in this show that much anymore is look at the behind-the-scenes credits type thing.
Yeah.
I was just kind of casually looking up these folks to see if there's anything noteworthy about them. The writer of this episode, a man by the name of John Cochran, he is actually a Survivor contestant turned TV sitcom writer, which is amazing. And he wrote this episode. And I think he's done a few others, too.
Oh, well, that's good.
If you need more Survivor in your show, then...
Yeah,
that's the way to go.
It always amazes me how you'll see... That was one of the big things I remember from watching interviews with Anson Mount, where he would talk about how he wanted to be a sci-fi writer. And it always amazes me, like, just to see how many people really have that passion and how they've never really pursued it. And suddenly I feel less bad about my failures.
Well, congratulations. Yeah, you don't really see that kind of like career job hopping going on too often. It's like some guy started in the writer's room and then became a writer and then died as a writer. But you don't really see
or like they might be like a storyboarder and they jump over to writing, or you know, they might be a producer's son and they jumped over to writing.
Yeah, you know, this is how the real world works.
That's my problem. I'm trying to get into the industry in the wrong way. I just need to become a producer's son. Hey, any producers out there, you want to adopt a 40-year-old man? Give me a shout.
It could happen. It could totally happen.
Yeah, but I think there's some squicky implications there. I may not want to have suggested that.
Well, you know what? You have to do certain things in the name of career growth, so gotta bite the bullet.
Sounds like you're speaking from experience.
Definitely not. Anyway, let's talk about the episode. First, I want to get into Goopy. Why is Tendi... This is like the latest Tendi experiment. Do you think Goopy is sentient?
Wait, do we know that she made Goopy?
I'm kind of making an assumption there, but given her history...
yeah, buddy. Way to bust out that leap to conclusion, Matt.
She's just adopting him? She's just like... She took him home for the day?
It could be something she found.
Yeah.
I pray to God she's not making sentient goop piles. That has some, like... For I have no mouth and I must scream vibes coming from it. Is Tendi evil? Have we established whether she's good or evil?
She's got to be like a...
She was an Orion. Control. There seems to be some implications that bad things may have happened in the past. That's not racist. She admits she was the mistress of the Winter Stars or whatever it is. You don't get to be there.
True.
And there's another scene in this episode that leads me to this conclusion. We'll get to it eventually. You'll see.
Okay, I guess we'll see. But yeah, they're interrupted by Freeman by being overtaken by a masked persona. This masked persona is named Minooki, and of course, in the TNG episode it's referencing, that was Masaka, so kind of like a similar name going on there. And it's kind of funny. They kind of imply that these mask incidents happen like all the time.
Though, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
In the original episode, the mask was like irrelevant to the whole process. It was all the probe, right? That was like downloading the alien mythology into Data's brain or some bullshit.
It's all the symbols.
Yeah.
Doesn't he make the mask based on the download, though?
Yeah, but it's not the mask that turns him, into, evil Data. And he doesn't gain supernatural powers. I feel like they just completely leapt off the deep end, just took a complete left turn with what's going on here.
Yeah, well, they needed to make the jokes about the ship transformations being Captain Freeman's fault, so...
Yes, of course.
They needed that to make it happen.
Yes.
Why is this happening all the time? They need to get... Are they finding these Darcy installations more often now? Is that what's going on? They just send the Cerritos to each one?
To comment on this, I don't remember the episode that well, but it's not the only episode that had they find the last remnants of an ancient civilization. It's something that bothered me. Let me get this straight. Because this happens in the episode where, Picard leads that whole other light. What is it? Yes. Tapestry? Is that what it is?
No, that's the Q episode.
You're right. So it's Inner Light. That's the one where he leads the second life. And it leaves him scarred. Mm-hmm. So in that, these aliens, they launch a probe into space that is able to psychically attach to another being and have them lead a whole second life as if they were a member of that culture. The Darcy probe, it's a cultural database that they were able to launch into space, and it lasted for eons.
Very similar.
You got all this tech. What catastrophe brought you down? I feel like these people would be able to get past almost any catastrophe short of a, happening situation where the plants turn against them and it's too late by the time they realize it.
This is also a recurring theme in Lower Decks as well, because they've had that episode with the terraforming goop that transforms the ship. So
yeah, but even then,
this has happened more than once.
Those were survivors. They had the tech.
That's true. That's true.
And did they only launch one ship? I bet there's more of those people out there somewhere. We can bring them back.
It's funny. It wasn't just an illusory changes to the ship either. They're literally putting stonework around the ship that hilariously the engineering team is fixing with phasers. Just another purpose of the multi-purpose phaser.
Yeah, and what's the deal with that?
Stones.
Because Freeman is all like, oh yeah, they're in the process of undoing or reverting the systems that were changed into alien temple bits. But it doesn't seem like anything was actually changed. It feels like there was just a facade put over everything, and they're just taking it off.
Yeah, it does seem like that, huh? It's a very superficial change very often.
Yeah, it's just something on the surface. So I call bullshit. This was no big deal, and she's overreacting.
Billups' crew is just making a big deal out of just having to phaser the stones off of the systems.
Hey, it's a lot of phasering, and they are not phaserers. They're engineers.
That is true.
Yeah, call some Starfleet Marines. Get them to handle it.
They like
hey,
to
red
lift
shirts,
rocks, right?
We got a job that's not likely to kill you today.
Yep, just cut some rocks and throw them out the nearest airlock. You'll be fine.
Yes.
Something interesting, when Captain Freeman goes down to engineering, is it just me, or is the pulsating animation on the warp core a new addition? Did you notice that?
Was it not pulsating before?
It's kind of has this very elaborate pulse where it's not just the top and bottom pulse, but it's also all the little other bits are pulsating. It's very eye-catching and interesting. I thought maybe it was a new animation
it's got the flow going, right? It's not just pulsing. It's got the warp plasma power flow going on for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's got to be a brand new animation. I was enjoying it quite a bit. I'm sure it gives more credence to everyone loving the warp core.
Hey, you know what? It gets you from here to there.
Speaking of that scene, though, how about Billups' breakdown with Shaxs?
Hey, you know what?
We got a little hint of.
I don't know what you're saying.
I like the little follow-up slap. That was so good.
I love that Shaxs just like takes it. And it's like, you know, it's just because Billups is so weak. He's all... Shaxs is just like, this means nothing to me.
He just takes it. He's like, yes, I'm providing emotional support to this man.
You know what? That fits in with what we learn about Shaxs later in the episode.
That's right. It's funny, though. I feel like Shaxs might be doing a better job than Migleemo. Not to continue the Migleemo hate too much from last episode that we did.
You know what? There's no too much
there.
Migleemo hate. If tomorrow a presidential candidate was to announce his run based on destroying Migleemo, I would vote for him.
Oof. Take
Hitler
that, avian
comes to the future from the past, and he says, I will eliminate the Jews and Migleemo! I'm like, well, I don't really have a problem with Jewish people, but...
Wow.
Ooh, that Migleemo! That's quite the sell there!
Jeez. Getting all dark with your...
This podcast is getting a little dark. We better move on.
You know what also is dark is when, the Delta Shifter plan gets back to Mariner and company. Mariner goes, those stupid Delta Shifters, they should all just join the Maquis. But you know what? All the Maquis are dead.
But what's the deal? Are the Maquis... They've got to be still around, right?
Isn't that part of why the Cardassians joined the Dominion, is so they could wipe out the Maquis?
That was the thing. In Voyager, there's an episode, once they've made contact, where they do a fantastic job of, the Maquis crew members reacting to the discovery that the Maquis are all but wiped out. So, did they make, a resurgence? Who are they against now? The Cardassians, they're no longer an independent power. They're not even allowed to make weapons. Yeah. Who are they resisting?
I don't know. Maybe one of the Maquis crew members on Voyager kind of made a little resurgence cell somewhere, and they're just continuing to stick it to the poor Cardassians.
You know, or maybe the Maquis now are this joke organization, right? They're the anti-Federation terrorists who don't actually do any terrorizing. They're like, the Federation is terrible! It should be destroyed! Alright, well, I'll get onto this whole terrorism thing, but right now I got a slot in the holodeck, so see you later, guys!
Yeah, let's try it later. Yeah, I like the little Maquis reference there, but yeah, they're all dead. Little dark there, Mariner.
Getting a little dark. Wow, this episode was a lot darker than I remember.
Just wait, we're going to get to even darker things that come up even later in the episode. But, the Lower Deckers, they decide to stick it to Delta Shift and also race to the whatever terminal it is that determines the whoever gets the extra crew quarters. And, of course, they say, the Delta Shifter screwed us, so now we get to screw him back. And that's some two wrongs make a right logic there.
And that's how you know. That's how you know it's all about getting the quarters rather than what's right. Because is all they had to do was go to a senior officer and be like, "Hey, the Delta Shifters are doing this."
Yeah,
and that's it. The Delta Shifters get booted. Yeah.
I don't know. They just really wanted the quarters that bad.
They'd walk into the terminal room and there would be Shaxs waiting for him. He wouldn't even have to say anything. He'd just shake his head and sigh.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of getting the new quarters, though, I mean, they really made a point to jam a lot of people in the bunk area of the ship there.
Yeah.
And once again, we get people wearing towels, which again is confusing because they can't be coming from the sonic showers because they're not wet.
You know what though? Maybe it's towels have become the new bathrobe because you dry off and then you put the bathrobe on, right? So maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously some kind of aesthetic choice because Mariner calls somebody out for having a towel that's too small. So there's obviously some kind of...
But his towel wasn't too small. It was normal-sized towel.
The guy's torso is really huge, though, so...
Yeah, little tiny legs, giant torso.
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like they would have fixed these genetic defects. Somebody needed to bashir him.
Hey, maybe the Baby Bear Squadron needs people with giant torsos to
giant torsos,
things.
Little bitty legs.
Oh man! Oh, so something we get to see a new ship in this episode, the Dove.
Oh, we get to see lots of new ships. Are we going to talk about this scene? I love this scene.
Yeah, what did you notice?
I like the design of every ship in this scene. Obviously, there's an Andorian ship in the background, so, woo woo, Andorians represent! But you also have, an evolution of the Dauntless in the purple ship in the back, which I'm guessing is meant to be a civilian ship. There's another ship, which, it's very boxy, right? But it still has that, Starfleetish aesthetic. I love that design. The dove, nothing. You don't know. The dove has a lot of really nice details. I don't know.
It's very, it's like a new design.
It's a brand new design, very high detailed, very, it's a good design, and like all of the detail works really well together. I don't know what they were trying to communicate with the ship, but it looks cool.
Yeah. It does look cool, but it doesn't look like a relaxation barge for sure. All the relaxation happens on the inside. None of it happens on the outside.
I would think, because there's that whole big, aft section. It seems to have, a giant, I don't even know what that circular part is at the back. Is that, an engine or something?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of looks like an engine.
Why so much engine space? Does it need to, really fly fast to pick up relaxers from all over the galaxy? I don't know.
Yeah, it's unclear.
But yeah, definitely one of those where form is not following function.
Yeah. It's funny because this is the second specialized Starfleet medical ship we've seen on Lower Decks. The first was the Oscillator.
And you know what they have in common?
Ship. Yeah, the Edosian captains.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Very specialized.
Is it like
different
a cultural
uniform, though, obviously.
thing? Do Edosians just love running resorts or something? Is Edosia just a planet of nothing but resorts? Is it like the real Ryza, without all the terrorist stuff going on?
Yeah, maybe it is. But, this seems like it could even be a civilian ship, too, because they're not Starfleet on board, right?
It's never said. We don't know.
Yeah, they're not wearing uniforms either, so maybe it is just...
That doesn't mean anything. I mean, Troy and Migleemo don't wear uniforms.
That's true.
Did the captain of the Osler wear a uniform? I don't recall.
He wears... It's like a weird variant with a... he wears a comm badge, so it's got to be Starfleet of some kind. But here, they're just kind of wearing, white... outfits, robes, maybe.
And it is a good point, though. I don't recall seeing a Delta anywhere on their ship, and apparently Starfleet loves to just stamp Deltas everywhere they can. Yeah. I'm willing to bet there's a captain or two with the tramp stamp of a Delta. Effing weirdos.
I wouldn't put it past any of them.
But yeah, so I do want to point out one thing, though, since this is the second Edosian we've seen.
Okay.
Normal speaking voice. The other Edosian we saw, normal speaking voice.
Yes.
So what's up with Eric's? What is his deal? He had that ridiculous accent in the animated series. Was he just doing that to F with the Enterprise crew or something? Did he have a speech impediment? I have so many questions about this.
This is one of those out-of-universe explanations where, all aliens in the animated series talked like this.
They did. It was such a common trope, and I don't know what they were thinking. Nobody in the production staff was all like, guys, come on. You got to be able to do something else here.
Yeah. Yeah, I really have no idea. They all speak normally. Although, if I recall, the captain of the Oscillator had kind of like a sinister villain voice who talked kind of like this.
Yes, like this. But he didn't talk like I can't even do the animated series alien voice. Yes, okay. It's wrong. That's 100% wrong. I regret doing it now. Jesus. Cut it out. I beg of you.
Maybe just every single one has, there's just lots of different dialects and way to speak.
That could be it. They just have massive dialect diversity.
Yeah. I'm going to go with that.
Could be.
Did you notice when they're showing the puppy room, there's this Andorian in it, and just the puppies jump on her, and she just gets this terrified look on her face and falls down to the floor, and 5 puppies jump on her?
You have said this, but I don't remember a terrified look. She seems to be enjoying it.
I don't know. I'm gonna look at it right now. At first it's she's having a good time, and then they jump on her, and then she's having a bad time.
No, I think she's happy all the way through. When the first one, you're right. She does get all terrified. What is going on here?
It's too many puppies.
You know what though? I mean, Andoria. There's probably no puppies on Andoria. They're probably used to their idea of cute is probably I don't even know. What do you find in the Arctic? Well, they're super alien Arctic, so they probably love I don't know, ice centipedes or some bullshit.
Very likely. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we know a lot about
Andorians don't do
biology.
Cute.
Yeah, probably not. Anyway, I thought that was a fun little detail there. Back with the other group, though, Mariner and Boimler and Tendi, when they break into the holodeck.
Oh, dear God. I feel like this would be a huge social faux pas. Like, you don't go into another man's private holodeck session.
I'm surprised they could just walk right in.
Like,
but I
that's
guess,
what,
no
what
one
got
locks the
Barkley
doors.
in trouble, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, and
this is like Canada where no one locks their doors.
Yeah.
Well, since you went to Geordi, did you catch when Captain Freeman's getting all pissed at the engineers? And
You're all Geordi LaForges! Like, I don't even know what that means. Like,
I don't know either. He can't relax or something? I don't know. She's
was
just
that
throwing
like a
people's
trait
names
of like
around.
Geordi that he never just like stopped engineering, like, despite orders? Like,
I think so.
Like, I don't remember.
No.
The only traits I remember of Geordi LaForge was that he was just weird as fuck.
Yeah. Socially awkward to the point of being a little offensive.
Yeah, like, he's like one step above Barkley in that regard.
Yeah. And then he tries to mentor Barkley, which just makes it even worse.
Well, you know what? Takes one to know one, right?
That is true. Anyway, getting off the topic.
Yeah, we're kind of jumping around
Geordi.
here. What are we doing next now that we stopped trashing on Geordi? I'm sorry, LeVar. You know I love you.
If you're listening, LeVar, we apologize. Anyway, they go to the bonk where Shaxs and Tana are going to do a little Bonnie and Clyde action. I love how they really stick it to the, well, this is the place where people put their money. Hello, I'd like some money with no intrinsic value. Yes. I thought that was pretty.
Yeah,
good.
that was pretty
head,
good. Very definitely probably raised some ire of certain people, but you know what? My real question here is, though, why are Shaxs and Tana running a human holo novel for their kinky sex stuff? Like, are there no Bajoran or Cation holo novels? How come we never see, like, historical Andorian or Tellarite or, I don't know, Antedon holo novels?
You're asking the tough questions.
It is a tough question.
Because the audience could not relate to it. That's the real answer.
That's 100% it, which is sad. I want an episode where, like, is all they do is, like, weird alien holo novels that they just can't relate to. That would be amazing.
Kind of like an interdimensional cable type.
Oh, yeah, that would be awesome. Episode. Like, they go into the holodeck to run their favorite program, but it's been deleted, so they're just, like, cycling through other programs to try and find something to do.
I love it. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
So about this holodeck scene, though, I mean, Dr. Tana in the middle of a firefight disabling the safety protocols, like, Boimler was under a second away from dying.
Like super he dangerous. By the way, this is a question I've always had since the beginning of Star Trek. Why is that an option, right? Why can you just turn the holodeck into a full-on murder room? Like, did they predict Picard needing to fight the Borg?
Yeah, I don't know.
So many questions.
It's like
here.
It's too much like the X-Men Danger Room where things can actually hurt you in there.
Yeah, it's just
I don't know.
Bad writing.
A little plot.
Yeah. Like, especially there was like no like confirmation or like authorization required. Just just do it. I see some like 6-year-old run ninja assassin program. Disable safety protocols. And the computer's like, okay. And then the mom finds her kid dead like the next day.
Wow. This episode is really dark.
Jesus, what am I saying? Oh, God, let's get back on track. Whew.
It's funny. Once they get into their argument there, it turns out, like we were alluding to before, Shaxs is the sensitive one in this relationship.
Yeah, he just wants to have an emotional bond and is all the time.
I mean, he died. They didn't even talk about it.
Stuff.
Yeah, you can't just do kinky sex all the time.
Story of my life, man. I just want to bond and I only want kinky sex stuff.
Yeah, how unfortunate. Also, why is Dr. Tana's kinky sex name Diane?
Yeah, like I'm betting it's a holodeck thing. Like, that's the character they're playing.
That's the character.
Like, Picard becomes Dixon Hill and Data becomes Sherlock Holmes and Barkley becomes Barkley, but not a trash bag.
Yeah, it could be.
Oh, so there's one more thing in this scene that I noticed that I really, I don't know why, this bothered me. Here's why it bothered me. Because they did the whole time freeze thing, and Boimler pushes the bullet out of the way.
Yes.
Why is the casing still on the bullet? Like, that is not how bullets work. And at first I was bothered.
Does it look like the bullet's still on there?
That's why it bothered me. Like, initially it bothered me. But then I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? These holo novelists, they probably have no idea how guns work. When was the last time like a modern, jacketed bullet or, anything along that line was fired? Yeah. Even their, projectile guns are probably some sort of crazy, gravimetric propelled bullets.
Yeah, they just aren't familiar with the
or
chemical propulsion and
teleporting bullets.
See, I'm glad. I like you're going with the it's an in-universe problem instead of like an animator on the show's problem. That's nice.
I'm going with in-universe because that actually makes sense.
It does make sense. Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Meanwhile, they get through the holodeck program and they go down into this like weird swampy area. Did you notice in the swamp room the skeleton? And of course, if you zoom in on it,
when you pointed this out to me, I did not believe you. But I went back and looked at the Doopler episode, and it's the same like shawl that he's wearing. There's no way this is not a Doopler. Man, that's dark. Did he just like starve
Very
to
dark.
death down there?
Well, he like probably inhaled the nitrous oxide and hallucinated until he started to death.
Yeah, he probably inhaled the Atmo drugs. Which why would they even have that down there? That doesn't make any sense.
Look, why is there a swamp down there? None of this makes sense.
There's just like no basic OSHA standards here. Like no inspector that says, the room full of plants that emit LSD. Yeah, I can't have that. Sorry, guys. This is a workplace.
Yeah, I mean, this ship has all kinds of issues. I mean, they've obviously refit the entire ship twice since the show started. And who knows if before then. So, like, they have access panels that aren't on the schematics. Yeah. All kinds of crazy problems.
Yeah, Starfleet is apparently just a, seat of your plant pants, fly-by-night organization. Doesn't keep good records of what they're doing. But, going back to this room, there was a second question I had about this. Why is hydroponics in the strut? Like, did you notice? Like,
Great
that
question.
was the
Were they in the strut at that point?
Framing shot. And there's no way that framing shot doesn't place them in the strut. Like, why? Why is it down there?
I have no idea. They have a lot of the, when they show the path they're taking down, so they're clearly going from the saucer down to the pod, right? So there is a lot of the trip where they're in the strut, but you don't really see a lot. Like, they don't, zip line down a turbo shaft or something.
Yeah.
They're just there.
They're crawling through
I guess zip lining would be not that exciting.
But you know what? I do want to comment on one thing in this scene. When they show the cutaway gag to the hydroponics bay, and Mr. speaks in metaphors.
Man.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is working in there, and his metaphor... Yeah, Keishan, thank you. The metaphor he uses is Gramble, his throat slit by his mistress. Holy shit, that is super upbeat delivery for something super dark.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether it's good or bad. Like, did he intend to cut off that leaf? Or was it a bad thing?
It looked like he was, like, pruning it.
Yeah.
I feel like he was doing some
So is
pruning.
the implication that, Gramble's mistress straight up, giving him a second smile was a good thing? Like, who is Gramble? I need to know this.
It was a little disturbing. I tried not to think about it just because the delivery paired with the animation was so well done and, like, creepy, but also just gardening.
Yeah, like, it's really raising all sorts of questions with these guys. Their race just, man...
So good. But then they go to an even more hilarious location.
Well, hold on a second. Before we get there, there's one more scene in this I need to talk about, because I mentioned it earlier. And that is how Tendi gets Boimler and Mariner out of the room.
Yeah.
She totally just hardcore punts Boimler into the shaft and then beats Mariner with a stick till she gets in there. I am telling you, Tendi has got some questionable things in her background. This
I think you're
reeks of Orion leadership style.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Like when I watched it again, I was like, wow, she just literally just gets a stick and just beats Mariner until she complies.
Yes.
Boimler she just kind of shoves into the out the door, but Mariner just beats her into submission, breaks her out of the egg. Very sad.
Very sad. It was warm in there.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, so then they do go to the next room, which is the low G. I think it's inside the deflector.
Yeah, it's like behind the deflector dish, which I wouldn't think that would be pressurized.
Yeah. Is there ever an area inside a starship that's not pressurized? You just do it just for kicks, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. You reach a point of technological advancement that you can do whatever you want and laugh in the face of lessers.
Just why not? Yeah. But why does it spin? Why does the inside of the deflector spin? Well, first of all, is this the first time we've seen inside a deflector? Because I know we've seen inside a warp nacelle, but maybe this is the first time inside a deflector.
I'm not sure. I feel like we've seen it before, but I couldn't place it, and I wasn't prepared for you to ask that question, so I didn't do any research.
We've seen people on the deflector.
Obviously in First Contact.
Yeah, but never inside the deflector.
Poor Hawk meets his fate.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, introduced him just to kill him. You know, if a new, seemingly significant character shows up in a movie, just accept he's going to die before the end.
It makes sense.
Hawk, Decker.
Season 3 of Picard, any minor character is probably going to die. Possibly some of the main characters, too. Anyway, why does it spin?
I have no idea. This whole scene doesn't make any sense. Why is it low grav? Why does it spin?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that the gravity just seems super inconsistent. Like, at first, they're just, like, able to jump a little bit higher than normal, and then eventually Boimler's just, like, floating around.
Yeah.
Like, do you eventually jump high enough that gravity just stops working? Like, maybe I just don't understand gravity. I'm lost.
Hey, there is precedent, in the episode 1 of Enterprise with the sweet spot in the ship. So
the sweet spot. They just need a Mayweather to show them where it is, where they can sit on the ceiling.
You need a boomer. You need a space boomer to come and
dude,
and
don't remind me of how terrible that was. Gonna have PTSD.
The funny part of that scene is when they tether themselves to get Boimler out because he gets stuck on the, inside the spinny bit, and they grab him by the hair and yank him inside. I thought for sure some kind of hair-related revelation was coming, but it does not.
Yeah, did not see that as a thing that was in the cards. I do love the fact, though, that there's no way that grabbing him by the hair was strictly speaking necessary. I feel like they just did it for efficacy.
It's possible. Who knows why?
I do like that we just keep seeing room after room that we're never going to revisit. But you know what? I could be wrong. We've been back to Cetacean Ops a couple of times now, so...
That's right.
Maybe we'll see one of these rooms
inside
again.
The deflector. Yeah. What else is fun? Oh, the funny part, after that scene where they are relaxing and they're saying what they're going to do with the quarters, and they start, pointing out the goofiness of somebody inside quarters saying, come. 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 Yes. Like Riker says it.
Yeah, yeah. I think didn't Picard say it too?
Yeah. It still makes no sense.
Tendy's enter friend.
Enter friend.
I mean, what still would you say? I'd be like, what do you want? I noticed that none of them, their response to somebody pinging the door is to say, who is it?
Who is it? Yeah.
Yeah. Is that not the logical response here?
No, I guess in the future you kind of already know, maybe.
Or maybe they just don't care. They're all do I want visitors or not? And if they do, it doesn't matter who it is. And then it turns out to be Barclay, and suddenly regrets were had.
Yeah, everyone just hopes it's never Barclay. Come. Oh, no, wait.
Oh, shit, I'm not at home. Sir, you already let me in. Not at home!
This is a recording. Beep boop. Please leave. Anyway, of course, the Delta Shifters catch up with them, and they have their fake bonding moment. Did you notice that none of the Delta Shifters are wearing shoes when they make it into the...
Did not notice that.
Yeah.
But then I'm not very detail-oriented.
Yeah, this show has broken me. Now I notice all the weird details, like them not wearing shoes for some reason.
Oh, yeah, and the lower bits of their pants, they're all, torn up.
They're torn up, yeah.
And, they were covered in grease, too, right? I feel like their journey was much more treacherous than the Warp Core 3/4.
The Warp Core 3, yeah. I think so. But at least we get the Ransom's Churro story, which of course we get pseudo-confirmed.
No, pseudo-confirmed, apocryphal.
Yes, he hides Churro Olivia somewhere, and he must eat her because he replicates more bags of churros.
Okay, well, god dang it, the only way to respond to that is going to have me just pseudo-acknowledge it. No, but they were saying when it get all dried out, and they're like, oh no, he refreshes her, which means he's replacing parts of her body. So, he could be just throwing the churros away. But it's not happening, because that story's apocryphal. This whole season is a Ransom character assassination.
You're right, the Ransom character assassination continues.
And here's how I know the story is bullshit. How did Caveman Ransom not only figure out how to operate the replicator, but also to get it to replicate a churro wife for him?
Maybe he was into churros first, and then he asked for a bag of 30 churros.
Shit.
And then he fashioned it into a wife.
He was a caveman!
I don't know. I don't know what you want. The Ransom clearly has lost his all his credibility.
You know what? Bullshit. He still got it. Just character assassination here. There's no churro wife. The guy just likes churros, and he knows it's not healthy for him. So he kind of cheats and doesn't want anybody to know.
Oh, okay. So does he actually just... I mean, what's your guess as to what he does with this bag of churros?
He eats them. He goes
eats them all at
wild.
Once,
yeah. And then he
and maintains
the
lava tubes?
Well, I mean, yeah. Then he just goes and he works it off and cries a little.
How do you work off 30 churros? That's too many churros to work off.
The same way you work off one churro, just a lot more of it.
Fair enough, I guess.
Damn right, it's fair enough.
Then, of course, the Warp Core 3 basically forget basic problem-solving skills about claiming the room for themselves, so...
Well, I mean...
And they learned that the hard way.
You know what? This leads into the return of Bold Boimler, though.
Yeah, about Bold Boimler. I like how that's continuing to be a thing, but I feel like he should already be bold from last season. I feel like this show needs a little more, character continuity with Boimler specifically. I want him to continue to evolve, like we talked about last time.
No, I mean,
he doesn't need to be the joke all the time.
He needs to be static forever. But I do want to point something out. After they get to the computer terminal, Mariner is talking about how they're eventually going to break up in the future, right? And they'll go in different directions. And she's all like, well, Tendy's going to be, a senior officer. And Boimler's going to be dead because of this whole Bold Boimler thing. And Boimler's just like, yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Like,
correct.
Wait, what? He's just like, accepted. This is my fate.
Yeah. Anyway, did you notice, by the way, speaking of random locations they visit, the terminal room they go to, I saw this on Twitter. Somebody commented about this on Twitter. It is very inspired by a one-time scene sensor maintenance room in a TNG episode, Lonely Among Us. It is very similar to that.
Okay, so it's from Lonely Among Us. When they went in there, I'm like, I know I've seen this with because the design is so bizarre, right?
Yeah,
it's just weird. Like there's one little terminal with it, like this triangular monitor bank, and you're like, what is going on here? Okay. I knew I had seen this before. Weird. It weirds me out, though, how often that happens in Star Trek, where they do these one-off locations. And it's all like, a lot of this stuff had to be built, It's not like now where you can just CG it and hope for the best.
Right.
So, like, what did they do with these sets afterwards? Like, you couldn't have done, like, a scene that was taking place in a hallway and just have it be in one of these rooms to reuse them? Like, give some variety?
I don't know. Will we see this random room where apparently it's the only place to access the lottery again? I mean, who knows?
Well, it's not the only place to access it, right? It's just the best location because it's like an unsecured terminal, and they can access it, get to it and access it without logs being generated. So nobody knows what they did.
It seems like a major security flaw.
Because they're amoral sociopaths.
Yeah, this is definitely an example of the amoralness of the amorality of the Warp Core 3, at least. Well,
Delta Shift was like a level of shadier, right? So
that's true. What? Oh yeah, of course the box that I mentioned at the beginning of our recording today. It's the box that removes all stress that the Cerritos engineers managed to piece together. Kind of a rare feat of engineering that is promptly tossed out the nearest airlock. I guess they could always make it again if they needed to, but...
I love that, though.
What a revolution in PTO hours.
But that happens. That happens all the time in Star Trek. Some new technology is introduced, and you never see it again. And it's like, wait a minute, wouldn't you just keep being like, wouldn't this tech be useful in this situation? And that explains it. There's some, person who's afraid of losing their position, so they just toss that new tech out the window.
Never to be seen.
And the engineers don't care because they just want to engineer.
That's right. That's all they want to do. Speaking of which, we haven't really talked about Rutherford's role in this episode. It's just him and Billups for a lot of the show, resisting Captain Freeman. He gets all pissed off at the end too, which is
I love angry.
Never really see angry.
Yeah, it's such a fantastic scene. But the best part is his role in this episode is basically I don't even know what to call it, but it's the role of the angry fan he takes on, right? Where he points out their complete lack of logical thinking. Where, because the Delta Shift, they're like, yeah, we'll just put more beds in the room and share it. And Rutherford's all like, the answer was obvious!
Obviously.
Why didn't you do it?
It's great. He's always so easygoing, but I guess it's the one thing that pissed him off is not getting his own quarters.
I think he was hyper stressed from going to the spa.
It could be. He didn't get to engineer enough there, maybe is the problem.
Like, because that's the whole thing. When they go to the spa, like, all of the engineers, they don't look like they're stressed out. They look like they just need a nap.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, they just need a break from their, like, overworkedness. They don't need to just leave their jobs entirely. Yeah. Well, I think we've talked a lot about what'd you think overall of this episode? Was this where does it stack up in the season?
It has some funny moments. It has some interesting scenes. Like I said, I love the visiting locations we'll never see again.
Right.
But overall, I think it's going to turn out to be one of the weaker of the season. Just not quite as funny, not quite as memorable.
Yeah, I think the most memorable is the Shaxs and Ta'ana holodeck. And everything else is kind of, it's fun, like you said, but maybe it doesn't stack up quite to the high level of the rest of the season so far.
But you know what? There's lots more episodes to go, so I'm not feeling too bad about this.
Did we miss anything about this that you wanted to cover?
Not that I recall, Okay. We didn't talk about the Klingon relaxation is just throwing necklace at things, apparently.
Yeah, that is true.
But yeah,
it's roughly on the same scale as people being assaulted by puppies, so.
Could be.
You know what? My Tennessee Fire is all out. I need to get a refill.
That is definitely enough of that burning sensation for me. So, let's shut this thing down. We'll be back next week to ponder episode 5 of season 3. Until then, you can catch us on Twitter at Lower Dorks. Or take a nice relaxing spa day where you might just find an overly stressed podcaster waiting for you to fix his whole world with your machinery.
I'd settle for you just doing the editing.